My name is Goodman. I'm an author, columnist, and journalist. I love Roseanne Barr. I think she's a national treasure. I think she's an American treasure. And that's not just because of her recent show. I grew up with Roseanne, and you might have grown up, or you might have had the original Roseanne show might have been a big part of your life back in the day also. She's just a true talent, somebody who always made you think about life. It doesn't matter whether you agreed with her or not. That's the problem nowadays. People confuse agreement with intellectual stimulation or critical thinking. Critical thinking is not necessarily agreeing with somebody. It's also not saying being offended sometimes is needed to think critically. Being offended or something that's toxic, or something that's noxious, or a political viewpoint you find to be the root of all evil. Sometimes you need to hear those viewpoints, those opinions, in order to have a better grasp of reality. Reality is not your or my perception of what comedy or satire or music is. Now, before I get into defending the new Roseanne show, I want to just read you this. One of my favorite rap groups, and actually one of my favorite musical groups of all time, is Two Live Crew. I don't know if you're young, you might not know who they are. Definitely if you're my age and in your 40s, you will know who Two Live Crew is. The lyrics would be they would be very offensive today to people on the left. They were offensive back then also. That they had a whole thing in Broward County where the music was banned. Two Live Crew music was banned, and then they had an album banned in the USA. It says basically they were one of the brilliant rap groups when rap was first starting, or when it was just becoming mainstream, but it wasn't mainstream yet. So I'm just going to read you, before I get to reading the New York Times article, there's a method to the madness here. I'm just going to read you this. And these are the lyrics to Me So Horny. So, following YouTube guidelines, and no disrespect to anybody, there might be some crude language or perhaps profanity, but I'll try to kind of not bring up the profanity right now. There'll be a profanity alert later on. But this is the lyrics to Me So Horny. I'm just wondering if the New York Times author who wrote, "The Roseanne reboot is funny, I'm not going to watch. Keep watching. I'm just wondering, I wasn't going to watch the reboot because I find Miss Barr noxious, transphobic, racist, and small-minded. All of these opinions are contrary to the reality. She's a brilliant individual who is not racist. She's not transphobic, and I don't find her noxious. Actually, 18 million people don't find her noxious. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, which is fine by me. If the author of the New York Times article wrote that she has a right to express her opinion. But I just want to read you this. Would people today be such snowflakes that they would, boycott advertisers or, demand this be banned? We already went through this, but I'll read you. And then it's the scene from Full Metal Jacket. What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything. Okay, so I'll just read you. And it'll be kind of funny when I'm reading it. But sitting at home with my on hard, so I got my black book for a freak to call. Picked up the telephone, then dialed the 7 digits, said, "Yo, this is Marquise, baby. Are you down with it?" I arrived at her house, knocked on the door, not having no idea of what the night had in store. I'm like a dog in heat, a freak without warning. I have an appetite for sex, 'cause me so horny. Oh my God, noxious. Is this noxious? Is this noxious and small-minded? Is it sexist? Is it too much for this society in this day and age? Or do I have to go back in the early 90s and late 80s? Do I have to time travel back to listen to this? And this is, I love this song. I love Two Live Crew, but they have songs, this is like the teacup ride at Disneyland compared to songs that they have. Okay, and this is not even the tip of the iceberg in terms of lyrics in that time period, whether it's rap or heavy metal or whatever. Girls always ask me why I so much. I say, what's wrong, baby doll, with a quick nut? Because you're the one and you shouldn't be mad. I won't tell your mama if you don't tell your dad. I know he'll be disgusted when he sees you're busted. Won't your mama be so mad if she knew I got that? I'm a freaking heat, a dog without warning. My appetite is sex because me so horny. So if this became popular again, this song is always popular. It's one of the most popular songs out there in terms of like an old school song. There are even songs today in rap music that would be considered transphobic and sexist and noxious and all these terms. I mean, why what is the fascination with being offended in this day and age? But you can say I'm desperate, even call me perverted, but you say I'm a dog when I leave you and deserted. I'll play with your heart just like it's a game. I'll be blowing your mind while you're blowing my brains. I'm just like that man they call Georgie Puddin' Pie. All the girls and I make them cry. I'm like a dog in heat, a freak without warning. I have an appetite for sex because me so horny. So why am I bringing this up? Okay, let me just finish this, and then you'll see why I'm bringing this up. It's true you were a virgin until you met me. I was the first to make you hot and wetty. You tell your parents that we're going out. Never to the movies, just straight to my house. You said it yourself, you like it like I do. Put your lips on my and suck my too. I'm a freaking heat, a dog without warning. My appetite is sex because me so horny. Now, why am I reading this? Why am I reading this? What's the point? What does this have to do with the Roseanne show? What does this have to do with the Roseanne show? What does this have to do with Roseanne? It was nothing directly to do, obviously. But I'm reading this because Two Live Crew was once banned, and they survived, and they're now like an icon in terms of rap groups. When you talk about old school rap, you would have to include Two Live Crew. You would have to. Okay? That's just my view. If you disagree with me, go ahead and disagree with me. This is no offense to the author. The author has every right to express her views, but her views are expressed, and they can be expressed in this manner fine, as categorical, as this is how society must run, and if society is not run this way, I'm not watching. That's fine, although this mentality, if taken maybe one or two steps further, I can imagine, heaven forbid, an outcry of, well, we have to cancel Roseanne's show. She's being too unacceptable in terms of what we're allowed to hear. And just like the Two Live Crew song that I just read, they tried to ban that song in the early 90s or late 80s. And that didn't work. The song became even more popular. What they'll try to do with the Roseanne show, is possibly ban the show or get advertisers like they're doing with Laura Ingraham. I'm not a fan of what Laura Ingraham was saying about that young man, but a little bit ridiculous to get advertisers involved, and it works both ways. If conservatives then start protesting liberals or the Jimmy Kimmel show, then he loses advertisers. Then we have a nation of complete snowflakes, whereas the snowflakes are generally on one side. We'll have a nation of complete snowflake nation that melts when they hear something they don't like, and everyone will be boycotting, and then business will get involved, and people will... It's a little bit too much. People are trying to legislate, or they're trying to monetize or demonetize or attack in any manner possible what they find offensive. And just like the song, some might say an iconic song, some might say just, a fun song by Two Live Crew, that song lyrics it'll never go away, and people will always be dancing to it and listening to it and enjoying it. Two Live Crew music, you might not find, it might not be your cup of tea, but it will always be enjoyed. always by everyone, by white, black, Jew, Latino, Hispanic, everybody, Muslim, everybody. The whole world, doesn't matter where you are, where you're from, will enjoy the lyrics that many find offensive and sexist and transphobic and whatever else. But I'll read you. The Roseanne reboot is funny. I'm not going to keep watching. This is no offense to the author. But you cannot condemn art. You cannot condemn expression. And you cannot go ahead and try to demean someone's work simply by this constant just using words like racism and noxious and toxic and thinking that everyone else agrees with you. Whereas the author of this article might not appreciate Two Live Crew, people still do buy or listen to the music, and people will still watch Roseanne, even if the New York Times gives a platform to somebody who says, hey, don't watch Roseanne anymore. I'll read you. It can be very difficult to separate the art from the artist. In the case of Roseanne Barr and her critically acclaimed television show based on her life, it is nearly impossible. Well, what's wrong with that? Roseanne's great. She hasn't done anything. She hasn't said anything horrible to anybody. She hasn't done anything horrible. She didn't call black youth super predators like Hillary Clinton. She didn't destroy Libya like Obama and Clinton, an African nation. She didn't take prison lobbyist donations like Hillary Clinton. And when I say Hillary Clinton, just the Democratic nominee. There's two sides to American politics, unfortunately. Only two. Trump and the Republican Party, and the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton. Democrats are talking about Russia because of Hillary. So don't say, oh, well, she's gone. No, when you hear Russia, just think Clinton. I wasn't going to watch the reboot because I find Ms. Barr obnoxious, transphobic, racist, and small-minded. But the author doesn't give any examples. So, okay, there's no basis for any of this, but fine. Whatever charm and intelligence she brought to the first 9 seasons of her show, a show I very much loved, are absolutely absent in her current persona. That's not true at all. I find the new show to be just as amusing as the prior show. But anyway, particularly as it manifests on Twitter. Yet Twitter is a horrible place. Twitter is a very, very unhealthy place to do anything. I can't wait for the day Twitter goes the way of Facebook, which is going the way of MySpace. She is a supporter of Donald Trump. Yeah, so vocalizing her thoughts about making 30% of Latinos voted for Trump. I hope the author knows this. And 88% of black voters? And that might increase. I would venture to say that a greater percentage of minorities will vote for Trump this go around. That's just my opinion. I don't think people are that swayed by CNN and MSNBC. If they were, Trump would never be president. And in Congress, the polls started off at 15. The Democrats are definitely going to lose the Senate, which will be hilarious because that'll already buck history. They're supposed to get the Senate and the House. I mean, they have complete and utter media collusion. But now it's like 5%. The House Democrats are like, the Democrats have like only 5% up on Republicans. The latest polls, 5 or 6%, I should say. It was like over 10%. In some polls, 15% up. So that gap will narrow. And if Democrats continue to allow, or if Republicans continue to hold on to the House and the Senate, after 2 years of insane virtual media collusion, calling Trump supporters racist and horrible, and oh my God, not another day of firing. So with President Obama, you had Standing Rock, and not many people on the left found it noxious or toxic, but you had protesters being shot at with frozen water from water hoses in freezing temperatures, people forced to undress, people beaten, dogs attacking the indigenous people there, the Native Americans, Standing Rock. And this wasn't Trump's America. This was Obama's America. And the New York Times was silent. But they're very vocal about the Roseanne show. Why? Because she gives a voice Not only to Trump voters, to Clinton voters also. She is a supporter of Donald Trump, vocalizing her thought. And by the way, no offense to the author, if I read in a certain way, it has nothing to do with being... It's just the way I read. The Washington Post is the way, if you watch this YouTube channel, it's the way I read articles. More like performance art and trying to just explain my thought process. No offense to the author. She is a supporter of Donald Trump, vocalizing her thoughts about making America great, claiming that with her vote she was trying to shake things up. Yeah, so she tweets conspiracy theories. You still haven't proven any of the claims. No hyperlinks, no nothing. Rails against feminism, so, and shares Islamophobic opinions. No, that's not true. If Roseanne has a certain viewpoint about Israel or about geopolitics, it's not Islamophobic. She just differs from the far left viewpoint. The far left doesn't have a doesn't have a stranglehold or defined boundary pertaining to what's Islamophobic and what isn't. That's just their opinion. The author should know, and the New York Times should know, that Hillary Clinton spread a photo of Barack Obama in African attire in 2008 to actually utilize the Islamophobia of that day and age. So she spread the birther myth, but whatever. Hillary Clinton. Where once she was edgy and provocative, she is now absurd and offensive. I disagree with that. She's not absurd at all. I find the viewpoint of this author to be absurd, but that's, again, my viewpoint. I could be wrong. Her views are muddled and incoherent. No, they're more coherent than this article, but she is more invested in banal and shallow provocation. Do you want me to read the Me So Horny lyrics again? Then engaging with socio-political issues in a thoughtful manner. Why don't we legislate what a thoughtful manner might be? What would be a thoughtful manner? I bet you it's a manner that the author agrees with. It's kind of like when I used to, joking around when I was younger, and we still had CDs and tape decks. I'd go to my buddy and I'd say, hey, do you have any good music here? It's like a diss. You're dissing somebody by saying that. You have any good music? Yeah. And then he would say, yeah, everything I have is good music. See how that goes? Like, I'm assuming that only my view of music is good. That's not right. No amount of mental gymnastics can make what Roseanne Barr has said and done in recent years palatable. Yeah, this article is a bunch of mental gymnastics, but again, that's fine. Nonetheless, I was curious about Roseanne Connor, her famous television alter ego, and what has been up to. The original Roseanne was a smart, hilarious, and groundbreaking show that covered a lot of important ground in primetime television. I wanted to see how the Connors were doing 20 years later. What I found in that the tensions in the TV show, which more than 18 million people watched, a network TV high since 2014, are the same tensions that shaped its current political climate. Well, you just undermined the first two paragraphs. If it's the same tensions that shape the current political climate, then obviously there's something thoughtful, there's something that resonates, there's something important about the new Roseanne reboot. Roseanne, the character, voted for Donald Trump because he talked about jobs. The economy is doing fine, by the way. For that, she sacrificed so many other things. In your opinion, Trump voters don't think like liberals. So they're not sacrificing anything by voting for Trump. They're actually getting a lot. Trump voters love Trump. And it's not all, they're not like, anyway, they're not doing it against their interests. They're conscious and lucid, and they know exactly what they're doing. They just have different interests from liberals. The promise of jobs and the myth of the white, oh, here we go again with the white working class. Promise of jobs and the myth of the white working class is the only people struggling in this country. Who said this? Is that even a myth? Is it even a myth? Who said that the only people struggling are white working class people? Who has ever said that? Bernie never said that, by the way. That's like one knock on Bernie from the left, which is hilarious because Nina Turner, Harry Belafonte, Dr. Cornel West, I think they know a lot, I'm being facetious, they know infinitely more than most people about the economic issues facing minorities, and they loved Bernie Sanders. So the myth of the white working class is a myth unto itself by people who want to detract from Bernie, which animates so much of our present political culture, and right there in this sitcom. In many ways, the first 2 episodes of the Roseanne reboot are excellent. Okay, well, it is difficult to admit, but nearly everything about the production is competent. Okay, there is the familiarity of the Connor house, still well worn, the iconic couch taking center stage in the family room. The original cast return and their faces are pleasantly familiar. Oh, I agree with this author. This is fantastic. Hopefully this is the end of the article. Though not as aged as they could be, given the benefits of wealth, good skincare regimens, and perhaps medical intervention. Okay. They should have looked uglier and older. That would have been better, I guess. That's obviously not what the author is saying. Darlene, the middle daughter, has moved back home with her 2 children, Harris and Mark, the latter of whom is gender nonconforming. DJ, the Connor son, was in the army and has recently returned home from a tour in Syria. His wife, we learned, and that's actually pretty great. I mean, most people don't know that we have Americans in Syria. His wife, we learned indirectly, is still in the military serving abroad, and DJ is raising their daughter, who is black, while she is away. Roseanne and her sister Jackie, played by Laurie Metcalf, have been estranged for a year because of the 2016 election, and when Jackie shows up, she's wearing a nasty woman t-shirt and a pink pussy hat. Of course she is. Women wore pussy hats during the marches. What's wrong with that? The Connors are still dealing with many of the economic struggles they always faced. Okay, she goes on with the description of the show, which was a brilliant show. During a Television Critics Association panel promoting the show, Ms. Barr said it was working-class people who elected Trump. This myth persists, but it's only a myth. 41% of voters earning less than $50,000 voted for Mr. Trump, while 53% voted for Hillary Clinton. Yet you factor in complete and utter media collusion. You factor in that Clinton outspent Trump 2-1. You factor in that the middle of the country, 30 to 20 states he won. And the swing states where jobs were a big issue went to Trump. So it's not a myth. You have to take all of that into consideration. 49% of voters earning between $50,000 and $100,000 voted for Mr. Trump, while 47% voted for Mrs. Clinton. Okay, well, there you go. The median income of these voters was $72,000, while the median income of Hillary Clinton voters was $61,000. Yeah. Again, she outspent Trump 2-1. And Trump was obviously the more populist candidate. He was against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Clinton wasn't. Obviously, Clinton, raked in $153 million in Wall Street speaking fees. We wouldn't even know about the fact that she had a public and private face. See, when she lies, that was a speech to investment bankers that she was too frightened and paranoid, Clinton was, to give her speech transcript because she was like, no, nobody can know what I told these bankers. So yeah, I mean, it's not a myth at all. I mean, just do a little bit more research on these statistics that have a lot going into them. A significant number of middle-class and wealthy white people contributed to Trump's election. A significant number of middle-class and wealthy white people contributed to Clinton's election. Democrats in Congress have a diversity issue. Most of their staffers are white. But you wouldn't know by the talking points that are echoed in the New York Times. In the show, during an exchange about their political disagreement, Roseanne tells Jackie one of the reasons she voted for Trump is because he talked about jobs. And that was all the political ideology we got. If we are to believe the circumstances of this character's life, a few vague words about jobs was more than enough to compel Roseanne, with inadequate health care, with vulnerable grandchildren, and struggling to make ends meet, to vote for Mr. Trump. No. There was also the issue of hatred of Clinton, the fact that she actually was a criminal. She did commit crimes. This is a fact. She committed the crimes. This is a fact. And we know it's a fact because Comey said, yes, there were crimes committed, but she did so unintentionally. That's why they're still investigating Clinton. That's why the DOJ right now has an email probe. Right now, there's an ongoing DOJ email probe. That is also a fact. Anyway, then we have her destruction of Libya. And I love how people who pontificate about racism, they're like, oh, Trump. Well, what did he do wrong? Oh, he said he was caught up and he had an awkward response to Charlottesville. Well, did he destroy an African nation? No, that was Obama and Clinton. Oh, okay. You see, because the destruction because there are actually slave auctions now in Libya because of Obama and Clinton. That's not even debated. That's not even debated. That's not even debated. And even Obama said it was his worst mistake. He's like, it's my worst mistake. Charlottesville, Trump. Oh, but Obama and Libya. It's worst mistake. Let's not bring it up. He's not president anymore. Okay. How do you reach people who make dangerous political choices grounded in self-interest? Well, you don't really have to, actually. They actually know what their interests are better than you do. What's taking place is mental gymnastics. You're actually going into a person's mind. I'm not speaking to the author. I'm speaking to anyone who would champion this myth. Conservatives don't need liberals to psychoanalyze them. Liberals should psychoanalyze themselves and find out why they lost, why they continue to lose, why they'll probably lose almost certainly in Congress, and why they will lose 100% at Trump in 2020. In 2015, in The Hill, The Huffington Post, and Salon, Salon, very far left, I stated that Clinton could not win for a variety of reasons, and on this YouTube channel, I stated she was unelectable. I was right. I said Clinton would lose to Trump. I was right. Everyone else was wrong. Now the psychoanalysis should be with the Democrats who want to relive another Cold War without any evidence at all of even Russian hacking, which never took place. It was a leak. William Binney, former NSA official and a legend in the NSA, said it was almost certainly a leak. That's based on download speeds. So, okay, when Roseanne and Jackie finally reconcile, Roseanne never apologizes or concedes. She merely tells Jackie, I forgive you. And Jackie acknowledges how hard that was for Roseanne. Clearly, we cannot reach people who make dangerous, myopic political decisions. You mean like voting for Clinton? Why would you assign such a description to Republicans? Why? What gives you the right? We concede as Jackie does, or we resist, as hopefully the rest of us will. Yeah, the resistance voted to give Trump the AUMF, spying powers. The resistance is actually the assistance. It's not the resistance. As I watched the first 2 episodes of the Roseanne reboot, I thought again about accountability. I laughed, yes, and enjoyed seeing the Connor family back on my screen. Okay, so this person is human. The author is human. It's almost like the ideology on the left can't allow the author. Well, now I'm psychoanalyzing. But forget about my views of the author or whatever. The author wrote a brilliant article. A lot of respect. I have no problem with the author. But my issue is that there are too many liberals claiming to know what's really in the heart of conservatives. I'm not conservative. I voted for Jill Stein. But you know what? I have more in common with conservatives. And I view Trump in a far different manner, in many ways political retribution for the cheating of Bernie Sanders. I noticed that people who pontificate throughout the media sphere never bring up that Bernie was cheated and that they used anti-Semitism against Bernie Sanders. But people love to bring up the words Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. But what about the fact that a DNC official said, hey, let's paint Bernie as a Jew. We don't really think paint Bernie as an atheist. He might not be as Jewish as we think. That is an anti-Semitic thing to do. As I watched the first 2 episodes of the Roseanne reboot, I thought about accountability. I laughed, yes, and enjoyed seeing the Connor family back on my screen. My first reaction was that the show was excellent. Okay. I agree. It was an excellent show. But I could not set aside what I know of Roseanne Barr. She's a great woman. She has a different political view from some people. Who cares? And how toxic and dangerous her current public persona is. Was 2 Live Crew toxic and dangerous? See, I'm tying in everything in life ties into the Me So Horny song. No, they're not toxic and dangerous. Two Live Crew was never toxic or dangerous. It was music to be enjoyed by people who want to enjoy it. But I could not set aside I could not overlook how the Connor family came together to support Mark as he was bullied at school for his gender presentation after voting for a president who actively works against the transgender community. And Clinton was against gay marriage in 2013. So let's not pretend that Democrats care about transgender people or the LGBT community. They voted for a president who doesn't think the black life of their granddaughter matters. That's not true at all. Trayvon Martin, Sandra Bland, John Crawford, Philando Castile. What did Obama do to protect black citizens? Nothing. In fact, if you do just a tiny bit of research, Democrats, just a tiny bit, you will realize that Loretta Lynch actually said, yeah, you know what? We're not going to force police departments to have a record of civilians they kill. But it's encouraged. Okay, Obama did nothing to help black citizens or any citizen kill unarmed citizens killed by police. Nothing. They voted for a president who doesn't think that the black life of their granddaughter matters. The author could have been talking about Obama. They act as if love can protect the most vulnerable members of their family from the repercussions of their political choices. The repercussions of the Democratic political choices was cheating Bernie, then blaming Russia, both leading to continual losses. This fictional family and the show's very real creator are further normalizing Trump. Well, Trump is a normal human being and he won an election. He is normal and he doesn't need to be normalized because most of the country doesn't view him as Satan incarnate. Only Democrats do. But guess what? Hillary Clinton is viewed as the same way by the other end of the country. And you can't defend Clinton. Trump actually, though, didn't commit crimes, and he didn't call black youth super predators. He didn't destroy Libya. So if he goes 8 years without destroying an African nation, he will have already been better than Obama. This fictional family and the show's very real creator are further normalizing Trump and his warped, harmful political ideologies. And I'm not speaking to the author again. I'm speaking to just Democrats in general, or liberals, or people on the left. There are times when we can consume problematic pop culture, but this is not one of those times. You mean to tell me that right today I can give you lyrics from popular songs, which I won't even have to go into, but I just wanted to pick a song from back in the day, from popular songs that almost certainly, based on the value system of this article, would be deemed not appropriate, problematic, and a big problem in terms of transphobic issues. And you talk about transphobic, you talk about sexist, you could find music from rap to metal to punk, even in this day. So you want to just, ban that? You want to tell people that you can't listen to that? No, that's not. I saw the first 2 episodes of Roseanne Reboot, but that's all I'm going to watch. It's a small line to draw, but it's a start. Well, draw the line. The author has every right to draw the line. 18 million other people, and very likely 20 plus million per episode, will be drawing their own line. And Roseanne will probably push the envelope. Hopefully she will. And excuse me. Hopefully she will continue to push the envelope, make people think. And hopefully she will continue to do what she is known for, which is create amazing comedy. And she's a national treasure. And she's just awesome. So I urge Roseanne Barr to continue doing her thing, to ignore any negativity, to ignore any people who, out there in Hollywood who try to attack her simply because they're either jealous or they haven't addressed a key issue in America today, which is not the normalizing Trump. It's acknowledging that people exist and they have their own capacity for making decisions and they have logical and rational reasons for voting for Trump. And until Democrats address logical and rational reasons that people vote for Trump, they'll never win again. Even with the media collusion and Hollywood trying to influence people, even with 2-1, Clinton outspent Trump 2-1. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. I think Roseanne Barr is a national treasure, and I applaud her work, and I can't wait for future episodes of the new Roseanne show. Thank you so much for listening.